At least 5 reports had been sent to authorities. Several relatives had spoken up with warnings within the family itself. One name had appeared again and again in official records since 2005, but everything seemed to remain only on paper, until a 13-year-old girl disappeared from her familiar school bus stop. And the question that sent a chill through all of Detroit: if those warnings had been handled thoroughly and responsibly, could everything have unfolded in a different direction? Naziyah Harris was born on September 16, 2010 in Detroit, Michigan, United States. On the surface, her life seemed no different from that of other teens in the neighborhood, attending school each day at J. Clark Preparatory Academy, using social media, posting short videos on TikTok, laughing and immersing herself in the colorful world of adolescence. But behind those seemingly carefree frames lay a complicated family background. Her father, Mervyn Jennings, was married at the time and struggling with dependence on alcohol, causing his marriage to enter a period of tension. Naziyah's mother, according to public records, did not appear frequently in official documents and was believed to be involved with harmful substances and an unstable lifestyle. According to Mr. Mervyn, both parents signed guardianship papers transferring custody to her grandmother, Annette Harris, in order to ensure that Nazia would have a better caregiving environment and receive the necessary support. He stated that he continued to visit and provide financial support as best he could until his heart condition required multiple medical procedures, which ultimately led to a loss of contact when Ms. Annette and Nazia moved to another location within Detroit. At the time this story begins, Nazia was just 13 years old, living with her grandmother in Detroit. She often wore her hair in carefully braided styles, carrying the quiet confidence of a young girl stepping into adolescence. But beneath that image, subtle fractures within her family had placed her in a position far more fragile than anyone on the outside might have realized. During this period, her aunt, Shannon Harris, was involved in a relationship with Jarvis Ramon Butts. Public records show that Jarvis had faced several legal troubles in the past. He was known for forming relationships with women who had young daughters, gradually embedding himself into family circles. Over time, concerns would arise about the boundaries he maintained, particularly in situations involving minors. With children from multiple relationships, some connected to Naziyah's extended family, the already complex family dynamic became even more entangled. The earliest documented case involving Jarvis's misconduct dated back to 2005, after which he was found guilty by court ruling. Upon completing his sentence, he was placed under special supervision by authorities. Despite that past, Jarvis continued to be present in family life. Nazia later became directly affected by these serious acts of wrongdoing. Some family members had expressed concern and did not want him near her, but those warnings were not taken seriously enough, and only in hindsight did many realize that the early signs should never have been dismissed. Between 2015 and 2022, Jarvis was reportedly the subject of at least 5 reports filed with Child Protective Services, CPS, referencing inappropriate conduct involving minors. Shannon was known to have been aware of these reports and had shared the information with certain relatives. 2 of those complaints came from members of her own family, including Jernell Smith Holland, identified as Shannon's aunt. At a birthday party in February 2022, Jarvis was alleged to have taken Nazia and another young girl to a private area where boundary-crossing behavior occurred. After learning about the incident from Shannon, Jernell advised her niece to contact CPS, and Shannon stated that she would do so. However, when no clear action appeared to follow, Jernell filed an official report herself in April. Shannon was later contacted to discuss her child's safety and to provide additional information regarding Jarvis. Another relative, Kiwana Morton, also independently submitted a report after speaking with Shannon, naming Jarvis directly and expressing concern about inappropriate behavior within the family. Jarvis was interviewed and denied the allegations, and authorities also spoke with the young girl mentioned in the report and examined the relevant residence. However, according to public information, no significant additional protective measures were implemented afterward. When questioned by the media, CPS did not provide specific details about further steps taken to ensure Nazia's safety or about the review process concerning Jarvis. Records indicate that the agency forwarded the warning information to the Detroit Police Department regarding concerns for the girl's safety, but subsequent follow-up did not appear to be maintained at the necessary level, leaving ongoing debate about potential intervention opportunities that may have been missed. By mid-2023 into early 2024, Shannon and Jarvis ended their romantic relationship. However, he remained present in her life as the father of her children, and therefore continued to have indirect contact with Nazia. According to accounts from several relatives, despite everything that had previously occurred, Jarvis still referred to Nazia as his niece as if nothing were unusual. Even after becoming engaged to another woman, he maintained private communication with the girl. On January 9, 2024, Nazia got off her school bus near Cornwall Street and 3 Mile Drive in Detroit, a familiar stop just a few minutes' walk from home. And from that moment on, her family never saw her again. Surveillance footage showed her boarding the bus that morning and leaving school at the end of the day as usual. The driver also confirmed seeing her exit at the correct stop. Before dismissal, Nazia used a school-issued tablet to message Jarvis, writing, "Don't forget, be there before 3. I'll let you know when I leave school. If you're not there, I'll wait." She later added, "Send OK if you see this message so I can delete your number." Jarvis replied, "Okay." During that time, Nazia also took a photo of herself. According to investigative records, it was the last known image captured of her before every trace gradually fell into silence. After Nazia failed to return home as she normally would, Naziyah Harris reported her granddaughter missing on January 10th. Later, she faced criticism suggesting that the response had not been swift enough. But in reality, the initial handling did not rest solely with the family. The Detroit Public Schools Community District first reviewed the situation internally, considering the possibility that this was simply a case of a teenager temporarily leaving home and that the school could address it on its own. School security official Derek Wolf was assigned to monitor the matter in its early stages. What troubled Ms. Annette most was that the walk from the bus stop at Cornwall Street and 3 Mile Drive to her front door took only a few minutes. So what could have happened within that short distance? It was not until February 13th, when the situation was deemed beyond the scope of internal handling, that the district referred the case to the Detroit Police Department to open a formal investigation. Detectives then interviewed Nazia's friends and classmates in hopes of uncovering leads, but at first many appeared hesitant. According to the district's director of public safety, Labrit Jackson, students sometimes believe that keeping information private is a way of protecting their friend. Yet that instinct can unintentionally hinder the search. Later, some admitted that Nazia had spoken about wanting to leave, but that detail had not been shared from the beginning. As law enforcement expanded the search, Ms. Annette appeared before the media visibly distressed, making an urgent and heartfelt plea.
"I want my baby home, and I'm asking in the name of Jesus, and I stand on my faith that he's going to bring her home. And we're asking anybody that has any information, I don't care who it is, please come forth, contact the police department. Her life could be in danger. We can't rule anything out, and I'm hoping and praying that that is not the case. I'm standing on my faith that God is going to bring my baby home. But it's been really rough. Footage of her getting on the school bus, and the bus driver did say that she did get off at her regular stop, okay? And she was supposed to have been coming home like she normally do every day. When a child is missing, you got to look everywhere. I had no idea that it was going to be here. I was just told that this is where it was going to be. Nazia needs to be home with her family, and we love her. So if you are harboring her, there is a law for that. And I'm asking that whoever has any information about my granddaughter to please contact the police, please.
During the initial review process, investigators determined that Nazia did not fit the profile of a student who would typically leave on her own or cut off contact with her family. School records showed no history of unexcused absences, and on social media, she had been a fairly active teenager, regularly interacting with friends. For that reason, the sudden silence across all of her accounts, with no signs of activity or updates, was considered highly unusual, leading authorities to believe this was not simply a spontaneous decision to run away, but that more serious factors could be involved behind the scenes. On February 20th, the Detroit Police Department posted a missing person alert on its official Facebook page, providing a description of Nazia as approximately 5 feet 2 inches tall and weighing around 130 pounds. According to the public notice, she was last seen wearing clear-framed glasses, a light-colored shirt underneath a darker top or hoodie, along with a pink and white jacket, light blue jeans, and blue and white sneakers. Her hair was styled in 2 braids, just as it appeared in her final selfie. Earlier, on February 14th, law enforcement had conducted a grid search within a roughly 4-mile radius of her home in Detroit, distributing flyers door to door and deploying K-9 units to assist with the search. Many local residents and volunteers joined the effort, forming a significant community response. A public safety representative expressed the hope of bringing the girl home safely, while also emphasizing, "We cannot operate on hope, and we must operate on information." Before Nazia lost contact, her father, Mervyn Jennings, had suffered a stroke against the backdrop of already fragile health due to chronic heart disease. He was undergoing treatment at the hospital when he received the news that his daughter had been reported missing. In a later interview, Mervyn shared,
"Some people don't even know me, and they coming out. They came up to see me at the hospital. They asked me some questions about my daughter. Have I seen her? And I haven't seen my daughter." You have moments in your life where you do think you're standing alone.
Nazia's disappearance placed intense strain on the family. Some relatives voiced anger that Jarvis had continued to have access to her, especially during times when no adults were present. From my perspective, given the documented history, clearer boundaries should have been firmly established to protect a child. On February 15th, Detective Jason Mays and a colleague interviewed Jarvis Butts while he was being held at the Wayne County Jail on an unrelated matter. Jarvis stated that he had not seen Nazia from late December into early January and claimed that prior visits had taken place at her grandmother's home. He was also questioned about the text messages exchanged between them and acknowledged that they had been in contact. When asked to account for his whereabouts on January 9th, Jarvis said he was addressing another legal issue. According to records, he had previously faced allegations involving possession of an undeclared, dangerous item, and his fiancée at the time had driven him to meet with authorities. However, his official appearance had been postponed until February. While in custody, Jarvis also called a co-worker to retrieve his personal phone from his truck, stating that he wanted the device back before investigators could access it, a detail that later became a point of scrutiny during the evidence-gathering process. On March 6th, the search area was expanded to a pond near the intersection of Graciette Avenue and Quinn Road in Clinton Township, behind a shopping center. Investigators believed this location could be connected to Nazia's final known movements, or at least hold important evidence. However, the initial sweep did not yield specific results. On March 7th, a resident named Valerie Smith contacted the Detroit Police Department after picking up a student ID she had noticed lying along the roadside for several days. Upon closer inspection, she realized it belonged to Nazia. By March 12th, a federal agent assisting with the investigation discovered several discarded items near 7 Mile Road and Berg Road, along the edge of the Rouge River in Detroit. Among them were a shoe and pieces of clothing consistent with earlier descriptions. Some of the items showed signs of damage and were later confirmed to contain forensic evidence requiring further analysis. Following these discoveries, public updates fell silent for several months, until August 15th, when authorities held a press conference to release additional details about the circumstances, timeline, and sequence of events beginning on January 9th. According to the timeline later released, when Nazia got off the bus at Cornwall Street and 3 Mile Drive on the afternoon of January 9th, she met Jarvis and one of his co-workers and was taken to an auto repair shop in Detroit. The report stated that Jarvis's sister was inside the building at that time and saw Nazia, though no significant interaction took place. Jarvis, Nazia, and the co-worker then traveled to the Ypsilanti area before returning to Detroit. Lodging records show that Jarvis rented a room at a motel from 9:30 p.m. on January 9th until 12:20 p.m. on January 10th, and this information was provided to investigators by a front desk employee. Location data from his phone indicated that the device appeared near the Rouge River area on January 10th after Nazia lost contact, and before some of her personal belongings were discovered. During the forensic analysis of electronic devices, investigators recovered numerous messages containing boundary-crossing content between Nazia and Jarvis. Some of the messages included images, though the specific details were not widely released. From these exchanges, authorities identified a potential motive. On September 26, 2023, Nazia texted Jarvis that her cycle was late and that she had previously taken a test with unclear results, adding, "Don't be scared to buy emergency contraception. Get a pregnancy test and bring it at the end of the day, and just pretend you have to use the restroom." On November 27th, she wrote again, "I just want to talk. I really don't want to lose you. Can we talk later? Yes or no, I don't know what your problem is, but I need you to bring me what I need tonight. It's hard to work out with this pregnancy, and if I don't work out, I'll get an F." Digital records show that during the same period, Jarvis searched for information related to handling an unplanned pregnancy, and Nazia's devices reflected similar queries, a detail that later became a significant part of the prosecution's argument. On August 15th, the Detroit Police Department formally submitted a request for charges to the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office in connection with Jarvis Ramon Butts, and shortly afterward, he was taken into custody. At first, many believed the arrest centered solely on Nazia's disappearance. But in reality, the case built by prosecutors also included allegations of prior misconduct involving minors. By September 26th, the Detroit Police Department announced that the investigation had shifted from a missing person case to a homicide investigation. Although Nazia's body has never been found, authorities stated that the evidence collected was sufficient for them to believe she would not be returning home. In an official statement, Prosecutor Kim Worthy said, "The evidence in this case will clearly show that the defendant's alleged actions went far beyond acceptable limits. They reflect a deliberate and prolonged pattern of approach. The defendant exerted influence and emotional control over Nazia for an extended period of time. We will prove that the defendant's actions led to the tragedy that occurred to Nazia after it was discovered that she was pregnant." During a press conference that same month, Ms. Worthy summarized the course of the investigation and emphasized a warning to parents to be cautious about those allowed into their children's lives. Because sometimes the greatest risks come from relationships that seem the most familiar.
We must be very careful who we let into our hearts and our homes and our lives, especially if you have children. We must be very careful who we have around our children and elders respectively. We must also be very careful who we leave our children with, even if they are in relationship partners, family, and friends. I'll say that again. Even if they are relationship partners, families, or friends. Life can be hard enough at times, but when it comes to our children, we must be deliberative, we must be diligent, and laser focused on their safety. And sometimes we must make decisions about them and their lives that we may not like and that they may not like, but it's for the betterment of them and their safety and their future. When something doesn't feel right, even if it's just that voice in your head, it usually isn't right. And sometimes when we are attentive and we do everything right by our children, things can still happen and still go very wrong despite our best efforts. This can happen to good watchers of children. But we must always ask ourselves at the end of each and every day, was I right by each member of my household in terms of their safety? Did I do right by my children?
On September 27th, Jarvis Ramon Butts was formally charged with the most serious count of first-degree premeditated homicide, along with charges related to misconduct involving minors and a second-degree offense involving a child under 13. In addition, the charging documents included supplemental allegations tied to prior conduct that authorities believe occurred before Nazia lost contact. Jarvis was held in custody pending a preliminary hearing on October 10th before Judge Aaliyah Sebree. At that hearing, the court denied bond and determined that he qualified as a habitual offender under state law. Meanwhile, Tiffany Jennings, Nazia's aunt, remained largely silent in the media until after Jarvis's arrest. When asked by reporter Shaw Lay about accountability in protecting Nazia from the risks that had existed, Tiffany publicly responded with her perspective.
Oh, what a loaded question, right, Sean? In my personal opinion, with no affiliation, there are multiple parties involved, as many have already stated. And I just have to hold on to hope that the entire truth will come to light. This is the beginning of the truth, and we're very grateful for this part, but the entire story will come out.
At that time, Nazia had only just begun rebuilding her relationship with her father and her paternal family when everything took another devastating turn. In an interview following the arrest, Tiffany Jennings suggested that there were people very close to Nazia who should have recognized the warning signs sooner. From November 1st, 2024 to January 6th, 2025, family members filled the courtroom throughout the proceedings. Prosecutors presented not only the details related to Nazia, but also referenced other teenage girls who were alleged to have been affected by Jarvis's conduct. Two of them, now 20 and 13 years old, testified in court. A co-worker of Jarvis, who at the time was also being held on an unrelated matter, stated that he and Jarvis picked up Nazia near an AutoZone and brought her to the repair shop on January 9th, and that he did not see her again after that point. Jarvis's sister, Tijuana Butts, confirmed that she was at the repair shop that day and saw a teenage girl get into her brother's white Cadillac Escalade. She later realized it was Nazia and was able to identify some of the clothing she had been wearing. Jarvis's former fiancée, Tashiana Davis, also testified, stating that he closely guarded his personal phone and was extremely private about his relationships. She said she had believed he treated children well and therefore remained with him. Another former girlfriend testified that Jarvis borrowed her vehicle on January 9th and, when returning it, she discovered a pair of glasses inside that resembled the type Nazia typically wore. Investigators presented electronic communications between Nazia and Jarvis dating back to September 2022, when she was just 12 years old. The content indicated that he had appeared at the Harris home when no adults were present and had used language and made requests far beyond what would ever be appropriate for a minor. In the end, Judge Aaliyah Seabree delivered stern remarks regarding the gravity of the case and the responsibility of those involved, emphasizing that indifference or failure to act on warning signs can lead to consequences that can never be undone.
Stand up. You've been sitting over there for 4 days with your head down, sitting between and behind your attorney with your mask on and taking vigorous notes. I want you to pay attention and listen to everything I have to say. I have been trying to figure out for the last 5 days, you. At one point I thought you were cognitively impaired in the beginning of this exam. And then maybe you had the brain of a 10-year-old and that's why you were doing such things. But as I heard more and more testimony, you are just the true definition of a problem. Watching you laugh and brag about all the women you have with different women and the children and the girlfriends, and making babies to groom them, and having them in your presence, and cleaning up, quote, cleaning up your shop, and the little girls around you, has landed you here today. You groomed Nazia. You played mind games with her. We all heard that. You controlled her emotionally. She was exposed to so much at such a young age. The text messages between you two were disgusting to hear. And to think that she had you saved in her phone as bae for life. Nazia deserves so much more. And while I mentioned other people that failed her, Jarvis Butts, you are the monster in this whole picture. She did deserve love from her parents and everyone who was in her life. She was ignored, she was neglected, and you took complete advantage of that. She wanted someone to love her, and she will never know what that feels like. Your children deserve more. As much as the defense counsel has raised issues on count 1, all that has done is raise the question of fact for the trier of fact, which means that this will be for a jury or a judge to hear at Third Circuit. I pray for the healing of all the victims and the young girls and possibly boys who have come into contact with you. As a community, we should look at this case as a prime example of how much work we have to do when it comes to protecting our children and especially our black girls. I pray for closure and healing for all those who have been traumatized by you. And for you, Jarvis Butts, I wish you a speedy trial and that justice be delivered.
Naziyah Harris's story quickly spread beyond Detroit and drew the attention of influential figures within the community. Detroit rapper Trayvon Gardner, known professionally as Skilla Baby, publicly expressed his grief after authorities confirmed that Nazia would not be returning home. On his personal Instagram page, he posted a message of condolence and stated that he was willing to cover the full cost of her memorial service. Although his account later no longer displayed the original content, screenshots of the post were preserved and widely shared. Nazia's cousin, Roxy, confirmed that several public figures, including Skilla Baby, had reached out to show support. She told a reporter, "My goal is to make sure the story of Naziyah Harris reaches the entire world, and it has reached the world because this isn't just happening in the city of Detroit, it's happening everywhere. Now more women and more young girls are speaking up, and that's my ultimate goal, not just for Nazia to receive justice, but for every young girl and every young woman who has experienced sexual abuse to receive justice. In addition, Mark DeAndre, host of the 7 Mile Radio podcast, used his platform beginning in February 2024 to provide updates and raise awareness about the case within the local community, hosting live broadcasts that included members of Nazia's family, including her father, Mervyn Jennings. Initially, Mark and Roxy worked closely together to share information, but by January 2025, the two ended their collaboration. Roxy later posted on Facebook, "It is with a heavy heart that I inform you all that I am no longer affiliated with or part of the 7 Mile Radio team with Mark due to irreconcilable differences. Please respect and refrain from sharing any social media content related to 7 Mile Radio with me. This decision was not an easy one. However, it is what is best for me in my current life journey at this time. I wish you all the best in your future endeavors. Thank you for your kindness and understanding." Jarvis Ramon Butts is scheduled to stand trial on October 6, 2025, and if convicted on the current charges, he could face a maximum sentence of life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. However, under legal principles, until a final verdict is rendered by the court, he is presumed innocent. While the legal proceedings continue, Nazia's family has endured another profound loss. Her father, Mervyn Jennings, passed away in August 2024. No one knows whether, before leaving this world, he ever learned the full truth about what happened to his daughter. Loved ones and friends have spoken on his behalf, expressing their hope that justice will ultimately be served. Tamara Liberty Smith told the media, "He left this world carrying an unbearable pain. He died not knowing where his daughter was. That's why his health kept declining. He never stopped searching for her, and now he's no longer here and still without answers. I just hope the family can receive the justice they deserve. I'm not sure whether we're still searching for someone who could come home safely, but the family wants answers, and they want the person responsible for this tragedy to be held accountable under the law." At this time, Jarvis Ramon Butts is awaiting trial before a jury, with proceedings scheduled to begin on February 23, 2026. He faces serious charges, including the highest-level offense related to causing the tragedy involving 13-year-old Naziyah Harris, who lost contact in January 2024. The trial had previously been set for October 6th, but was later postponed. Prosecutors have indicated they may call more than 40 witnesses, while the defense team is expected to present at least 10 in support of its counter-arguments. The prosecution is anticipated to focus on phone location data, text message content, search history, and forensic evidence in an effort to reconstruct the sequence of events leading up to Naziyah's disappearance. The defense will likely challenge the reliability and completeness of that evidence. As of now, there is no public information indicating that the trial has concluded or that a final verdict has been reached by the jury. As of this moment, although the case has been formally charged and is awaiting trial, the body of Naziyah Harris has never been found. That means her family is not only waiting for a legal verdict, but also for closure, a final answer to a search that has stretched on for months. And to me, this is not just a criminal file. It is a painful reminder that warning signs, no matter how small they may seem, should never be ignored. Sometimes the danger does not come from strangers, but from the most familiar relationships. The greatest lesson I take from this story is this: a family's vigilance can be the most important line of defense for a child. When something makes us feel uneasy, we should not dismiss it. We need to listen, to verify, and to act one step sooner. Thank you for following today's story on True Crime Documentary. If you are also hoping that Nazia and her family will finally receive complete answers. Please leave a comment as a way to honor her memory. Don't forget to share this video so more people can reflect on the lessons from this case. Like the video and subscribe to the channel to join me for the next files. I'll see you in the next episode of True Crime Documentary.